But, Sir Thomas, every man has his price.
No, Richard, no.
But yes, in money too, or pleasure, titles, women, bricks and mortar, there's always something.
Childish.
Well, in suffering, certainly.
Buy a man with suffering?
Impose suffering and offer him escape.
Oh, for a moment, I thought you were being profound.
No, not a bit profound. It then becomes a purely practical question of how to make him suffer sufficiently.
Hmm. And who recommended you to read Signor Machiavelli? No? Who? Hmm?
It was Master Thomas Cromwell.
Oh, he's a very able man.
And so he is.
Yes, I say he is. He's very able.
And he will do something for me, he says.
I didn't know you knew him.
Pardon me, Sir Thomas, but how much do you know about me?
Whatever you've let me know.
I've let you know everything.
Richard, you should go back to Cambridge. You're deteriorating.
Well, I'm not used. Do you know how much I have to show for 7 months' work?
Work?
Yes, work. Waiting can be hard work. For 7 months, that's 200 days, this is what I have to show. The acquaintance of the cardinal's outer doorman, the indifference of the cardinal's inner doorman, and the cardinal's chamberlain's hand on my chest. Oh, also, 1/2 of a good morning delivered at 50 paces by the Duke of Norfolk. Doubtless he mistook me for someone.
He was very affable at dinner.
Oh, everyone's affable here. Also, of course, the friendship of Thomas More, or should I say acquaintance.
Say friendship.
Well there, what are people saying? A friend of Sir Thomas and still no office. There must be something wrong with him.
I thought we said friendship. The Dean of St. Paul's offers you a post with a house, a servant, and £50 a year.
What? What post?
At the new school,
A teacher.
a man should go where he won't be tempted. Richard, I want to show you something. You see this silver cup? Look, look.
Beautiful.
Italian. Do you want it?
Why?
No joke. Keep it or sell it.
Well, thank you, of course. Thank you, but
You'll sell it, won't you?
yes, I think so. Yes, I will.
And buy what?
Some decent clothes.
Ah,
I want a gown like yours.
you'll get several gowns for that, I should think. It was sent to me a little while ago by some woman. Now she's put a lawsuit into the Court of Requests. It's a bribe, Richard.
Oh, so you gave it away, of course.
Yes.
To me?
Well, I'm not going to keep it, and you need it. Of course, if you feel it's contaminated.
Oh, no, I'll risk it.
But, Richard, in office, they offer you all sorts of things. I was once offered a whole village with a mill and a manor house and heaven knows what else. A coat of arms, I shouldn't be surprised. Why not be a teacher? You'd be a fine teacher, perhaps a great one.
And if I was, who would know it?
You, your pupils, your friends, and God. Not a bad public, that. Oh, and a quiet life.
You say that.
Richard, I was commanded into office. It was inflicted on me. Can't you believe that?
It's hard.
Richard, be a teacher.
Ah, Sir Thomas. It's 1:30. Where have you been?
It's actually 1 o'clock, Your Grace, and I've been on the river.
Well, it's about this document, the Latin dispatch. Since you seemed so violently opposed to it, I thought you'd like to look it over.
Oh, thank you, Your Grace.
Before it goes.
Your Grace is very kind. Thank you.
Well, what do you think of it?
It seems very well phrased, Your Grace.
The devil it does. And apart from the style, Sir Thomas.
I think the council should be told before the dispatch goes to Italy.
Would you tell the council? Yes, I believe you would. You're a constant regret to me, Thomas. If you could just see facts flat on without that moral squint, with just a little common sense, you could have been a statesman.
Oh, Your Grace flatters me.
Don't frivol. Thomas, are you going to help me?
If Your Grace will be more specific.
Ah, you're a plodder. Take you all together, Thomas. Your scholarship, your experience. What are you?
Your Grace,
Never mind. Let us talk about the king. Where has he been today? Do you know?
Your Grace?
Oh, spare me your discretion. He's been to play in the muck again.
Indeed.
Indeed, indeed. Are you going to oppose me? All right, we'll plot. The king wants a son. What are you going to do about it?
I'm sure the king needs no advice from me on what to do about it.
Thomas, we're alone. I give you my word. There's no one here.
I didn't suppose there was, Your Grace.
No. Do you favor a change of dynasty, Sir Thomas? Do you think 2 Tudors is sufficient?
For God's sake, Your Grace.
Then the king needs a son. I repeat, what are you going to do about it?
I pray for it daily.
What? God help us, I think you mean it. That Anne thing out there is at least fertile, Thomas.
But she's not his wife.
No, Catherine's his wife, and she's as barren as brick. Are you going to pray for a miracle?
There are precedents.
Yes. All right, good. Pray by all means. But in addition to prayer, there is effort. My efforts to secure a divorce. Have I your support, or have I not?
Dispensation was given so that the king might marry Queen Catherine for state reasons. Now, are we to ask the Pope to dispense with his dispensation also for state reasons?
I don't like plodding, Thomas. Don't make me plod longer than I have to. Well,
Then clearly all we have to do is approach His Holiness the Pope and ask him.
I think we might influence His Holiness's answer,
By sending this dispatch?
and in other ways.
I've already expressed my opinion on this.
Then good night. Oh, your conscience is your own affair, but you're a statesman. Do you remember the Yorkist Wars?
Very clearly.
Let him die without an heir, and we'll have them back again. Let him die without an heir, and this peace that you think so much of will be snuffed out like a candle. Very well. When England needs an heir, certain measures, perhaps regrettable, perhaps not. There is much in the church that needs reformation, Thomas. All right, regrettable, but necessary to get us an heir. Now explain how you, as Councillor of England, can obstruct those measures for the sake of your own private conscience.
Well, I believe that when statesmen forsake their own private conscience for the sake of their public duties, they lead their country by a very short route to chaos. And we shall have my prayers to fall back on.
You'd like that, wouldn't you? To govern the country by prayers.
Yes, I would.
I'd like to be there when you try. Who will deal with all this paper, after me? You? Fisher? Suffolk?
Fisher for me.
Aye, but for the king. What about my secretary, Master Cromwell?
Me rather than Cromwell.
Then come down to earth. And until then, allow for an enemy here.
As your grace pleases.
As God wills.
Perhaps, your grace.
More. You should have been a cleric.
Like yourself, your grace?
Master Rich, what brings you to Hampton?
I came with the Duke last night, Master Cromwell. They're hunting again.
It's a kingly pastime, Master Rich. I'm glad you found employment. You're the Duke's secretary, are you not?
My work is mostly secretarial.
Or is it his librarian you are?
I do look after His Grace's library, yes.
Oh, well, that's something. And I don't suppose you're bothered too much by His Grace in the library. It's odd how differently men's fortunes flow. My late master dies in disgrace, and here I am in the king's own service. There you are in a comparative backwater. Yet the new Lord Chancellor, Sir Thomas More, is an old friend of yours.
He isn't really my friend.
Oh, I thought he was.
Well, in a sense he is.
I always understood he set you up in life.
Master Cromwell, what is it that you do for the king?
Yes, I also would like to know that, Master Cromwell.
Ah, Signor Chapuis. Master Rich, have you met His Excellency, the Spanish ambassador? And Your Excellency, meet the Duke's librarian.
But how should we introduce you, Master Cromwell, if we had the happiness?
Oh, sigh. Do you notice how sly he is, Rich? Well, I suppose you would call me the King's ear. It's a useful organ, the ear, but in fact it's simpler than that. When the king wants something done, I do it.
Ah, but then why these justices, chancellors, admirals?
Oh, they are the Constitution, our ancient English Constitution. I merely do things.
For example, Master Cromwell.
Oh, beware these professional diplomats, Rich. Well, now, Your Excellency, for example, next week at Deptford we are launching the Great Harry. 1,000 tons, 4 masts, 66 guns, an overall length of 175 feet. It's expected to be very effective. All this you probably know. However, you might not know that the king himself will guide her down the river. Yes, the king himself will be her pilot. He will have a pilot's whistle upon which he will blow, and he will wear in every respect a common pilot's uniform, except for the material, which will be cloth of gold. These innocent fancies require more preparation than you might think, and someone has to do it. Meanwhile, I do prepare myself for higher things. I stock my mind.
Master Cromwell, don't we all do that? This ship, for instance, it has 56 guns, by the way, not 66, and only 40 of them heavy. After the launching, I understand the king will take his barge to Chelsea to...
To Sir Thomas More, yes.
Will you be there?
Oh, no. They'll talk about the divorce. The king will ask Sir Thomas for an answer.
He has already given his answer.
The king will ask him for another.
Sir Thomas is a good son of the church.
Sir Thomas is a man. Well, good day, Your Excellency.
Good day, Master Cromwell.
Your Majesty, you do my house more honour than I fear my household can bear.
No ceremony, Thomas, no ceremony. A passing fancy. I happen to be on the river. My river. I launched a ship today, Thomas.
Yes, Your Grace,
Listen, man, listen. The Great Harry. I steered her, Thomas, under sail.
You have many accomplishments, Your Grace.
A great experience, Thomas.
Yes, Your Grace.
I am a fool.
How so, Your Grace?
What else but a fool to live in a court in a licentious mob when I have friends with gardens?
Your Grace.
No courtship, no ceremony, Thomas. You are my friend, don't you?
Your Majesty.
And thank God I have a friend for my Chancellor. You're readier to be friends, I trust, than you were to be Chancellor.
My own knowledge of my poor abilities.
I will judge of your abilities, Thomas. Did you know that Cardinal Wolsey named you for Chancellor?
Wolsey?
Wolsey named you? And Wolsey was no fool.
He was a statesman of incomparable ability, Your Grace.
Was he? Was he so? Then why did he fail me? It was villainy then, yes, villainy. I was right to break him. He was all pride, Thomas. A proud man, pride right through, and he failed me. He failed me in the one thing that mattered, the one thing that matters, Thomas, then or now. And why? He wanted to be Pope. Yes, he wanted to be the Bishop of Rome. I'll tell you something, Thomas, and you can check this for yourself. It was never merry in England when we had cardinals amongst us. But look now. I shall forget the feel of that great tiller under my hands. I took her down to Doggett's Bank, went about and brought her up in Tilbury Roads. A man could sail clean round the world in that ship.
Some men could, Your Grace.
Hmm. Touching the matter of my divorce, Thomas, have you thought of it since we last talked?
Of little else.
Then you see your way clear to me.
That you should put away Queen Catherine, sire? Oh, alas, as I think of it, I see so clearly that I cannot come with your grace, that my endeavour is not to think of it at all.
Then you've not thought enough. Great God, Thomas, why do you hold out against me in the desire of my heart? The very wick of my heart.
There is my right arm. Take your dagger and saw it from my shoulder, and I will laugh and be thankful if by that means I can come with your grace with a clear conscience.
I know it, Thomas. I know.
When I took the Great Seal, your Majesty promised not to pursue me on this matter.
Ha! So I break my word, Master Moore. No, I'm joking. I joke roughly. I often think I'm a rough fellow. Yes, a rough young fellow. Look, that's a magnolia. We have one like it at Hampton. Not so red as that, though. Ha! I'm in an excellent frame of mind. That's a beautiful magnolia. You must consider, Thomas, that I stand in peril of my soul. It was no marriage. She was my brother's widow. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 16.
Yes, your grace, but Deuteronomy...
Deuteronomy's ambiguous.
Your grace, I'm not fit to meddle in these matters. To me, it seems a matter for the Holy See.
Thomas, does a man need a pope to tell him when he's sinned? It was a sin, Thomas, I admit it. I repent, and God has punished me. I have no son. Son after son she's borne me, Thomas, all dead at birth or dead within the month. I never saw the will of God so clear in anything. I have a daughter. She's a good child, a well-set child, but I have no son. It is my bounden duty to put away the Queen, and all the popes back to St. Peter shall not come between me and my duty. How is it that you cannot see? Everyone else does.
Then why does your grace need my poor support?
Because you are honest. And what's more to the purpose, you're known to be honest. There are those like Norfolk who follow me because I wear the crown. And there are those like Master Cromwell who follow me because they're jackals with sharp teeth and I am their lion. And there is a mass that follows me because they follow anything that moves. And there is you.
I'm sick to think how much I must displease your grace.
No, Thomas, I respect your sincerity. Respect? It's water in the desert. By the way, how did you like our music? That air my musicians played, it had a certain... well, tell me what you thought of it.
Would it have been your grace's own?
Discovered. Now I'll never know your true opinion. And that's irksome, Thomas, for we artists, although we love praise, yet we love truth better.
Then I will tell your grace what I truly thought of it.
Speak then.
To me, it seemed delightful.
Thomas, I chose the right man for Chancellor.
I must in fairness add that my taste in music is reputedly deplorable.
Your taste in music is excellent. It exactly coincides with my own. Ah, music. Music! Send them back without me, Thomas. I'll live here in Chelsea and make music.
My house is at your Grace's disposal.
Thomas, you understand me. We will stay here together and make music.
Will your Grace honour my roof at dinner?
Yes, I expect I'll sing, or should I say bellow for you?
My wife will be more...
Yes, yes. Touching this other matter, Thomas, I'll have no opposition.
Your Grace?
No opposition, I say, no opposition. Your conscience is your own affair, but you are my Chancellor. There, you have my word. I'll leave you out of it. But I don't take it kindly, Thomas, and I'll have no opposition. I see how it will be. The bishops will oppose me, the full-fed hypocritical princes of the church. As for the Pope, am I to burn in hell because the Bishop of Rome with the Emperor's knife for his throat mouths me Deuteronomy? Hypocrites! They're all hypocrites! Mind they do not take you in, Thomas. Lie low if you will, but I'll brook no opposition. No words, no signs, no letters, no pamphlets. Mind that, Thomas. No writings against me.
Your Grace is unjust. I am your Grace's loyal minister. If I cannot serve your Grace in this great matter of the Queen...
Queen? I have no queen. Catherine is not my wife, and no priest can make her so. And they that say she is my wife are not only liars, but traitors. Mind it, Thomas.
Am I a babbler, your Grace?
You are stubborn. But Thomas, if you could come with me, you are the man I would soonest raise. Yes, with my own hand.
Your Grace overwhelms me.
Ah, lift yourself up, man. Have I not promised? Shall we eat?
If your Grace pleases, what will your Grace sing for us?
Oh, no, Thomas. The tide will be changing. I was forgetting the tide. I'd better go.
I'm sorry, your Grace.
I must catch the tide or I'll not get back to Richmond. So, I give you my thanks and say good night.
Good night, your Grace.
Yes, Master Rich, it may be that I'm a little intoxicated, but not with alcohol, with success. And who has a strong head for success? None of us gets enough of it, except kings, and they're born drunk.
Success? What success?
Yes,
Collector of revenues for York?
you do keep your ear to the ground, don't you? No, better than that,
High Constable?
better than that,
Better than High Constable?
much better. Sir Thomas Paget is retiring.
Secretary to the Council?
'Tis astonishing, isn't it?
Oh no, I mean, one sees it's logical.
No ceremony, no courtship, as His Majesty would say. Yes, see how I trust you.
Oh, I would never repeat or report a thing like that.
What kind of thing would you repeat or report?
Well, nothing said in friendship. May I say friendship?
If you like. Do you believe that you would never repeat or report anything, etc.?
Why, yes.
No, but seriously,
Yes.
Master Rich, seriously.
It would depend on what I was offered.
Don't say it just to please me.
It's true. It would depend on what I was offered.
Everyone knows it. Not many people can say it.
There are some things one wouldn't do for anything, surely.
That idea is like those lifelines they have on the embankment. Comforting, but you don't expect to have to use them. Well, congratulations.
On what?
I think you'd make a good collector of revenues for the York Diocese.
Is it in your gift?
Effectively,
What do I have to do for it?
nothing. It isn't like that, Master Rich. There are no rules with rewards and penalties. So much wickedness purchases so much worldly prospering. Are you sure you're not religious?
Almost sure.
Get sure. No, it's not like that. It's much more a matter of convenience, administrative convenience. The normal aim of administration is to keep steady this factor of convenience, and Sir Thomas would agree. Now, normally, when a man wants to change his woman, you let him if it's convenient and prevent him if it's not. Normally, indeed, it's of so little importance that you leave it to the priests. But the constant factor is this element of convenience.
Whose convenience?
Oh, ours. But everybody's too. However, in the present instance, the man who wants to change his woman is our sovereign lord, Harry the Eighth of that name, which is a quaint way of saying that if he wants to change his woman, he will. So that becomes the constant factor. And our job as administrators is to make it as convenient as we can. I say our job on the assumption that you'll take this post at York that I've offered you.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a bad sign when people are depressed by their own good fortune.
I'm not depressed.
You look depressed.
I'm lamenting I've lost my innocence.
You lost that some time ago. If you've only just noticed, it can't have been very important to you.
That's true. That's true, it can't.
We experience a sense of release, do we, Master Rich? An unfamiliar freshness in the head, as of open air.
Well, collector of revenues isn't bad.
Not bad for a start. Now, our present Lord Chancellor, there's an innocent man.
The odd thing is, he is.
Yes, I say he is. The trouble is, his innocence is tangled in this proposition that you can't change a woman without a divorce, and you can't have a divorce unless the Pope says so. And although His present holiness is, judged even by the most liberal standards, a strikingly corrupt old person, yet he still has this word Pope attached to him. And from this quite meaningless circumstance, I fear some degree of
Administrative inconvenience?
just so. Now, this goblet that Sir Thomas gave you, how much was it worth? Come along, Rich. He gave you a silver goblet. How much did you get for it?
50 shillings.
Could you take me to the shop?
Yes.
Where did he get it? It was a gift from a litigant, a woman, wasn't it?
Yes.
In which court was this litigant's case?
Court of Requests.
There. That wasn't too painful, was it?
No.
That's all there is. And you'll find it easier next time. I think we'll finish there for tonight.
Thomas, why? Make me understand, because I'll tell you now, from where I stand, This looks like cowardice.
All right, I will. This isn't reformation. This is war against the church. Our king has declared war on the Pope, because the Pope will not declare that our queen is not his wife.
And is she?
I'll answer that question for one person only, the king. Aye, and in private too.
Man, you're cautious.
Yes, cautious. I'm not one of your hawks.
All right. We're at war with the Pope. The Pope's a prince, isn't he?
He is
And a bad one?
bad enough. But the theory is that he's also the vicar of God, the descendant of St. Peter, and our only link with Christ.
A tenuous link.
Oh, tenuous indeed.
Does this make sense? You'll forfeit all you've got, which includes the respect of your country, for a theory?
The apostolic succession of the Pope is a theory, yes. You can't see it, you can't touch it. It's a theory. But what matters to me is not whether it's true or not, but that I believe it to be true. Or rather, not that I believe it, but that I believe it. I trust I make myself obscure.
Perfectly.
That's good. Obscurity is what I have need of now.
Man, you're sick. This isn't Spain, you know.
Howard, have I your word that what we say here is between us and has no existence beyond these walls?
Very well.
And if the king should command you to repeat what I've said,
I would keep my word to you.
then what has become of your oath of obedience to the king?
You laid traps for me?
No, I show you the times.
Thomas, why do you insult me with these lawyers' tricks?
Because I am afraid.
And here's your answer. The king accepts your resignation very sadly. He is mindful of your goodness and past loyalty, and in any matter concerning your honour and welfare, he will be your good lord. So much for your fear.
You will convey my humble gratitude.
I will.
Oh, Howard, Signor Chapuis tells me he's just made a tour of the North Country. He thinks we shall have trouble there. So do I.
Yes? What sort of trouble?
The church, the old church, not the new one, is very strong up there. I'm serious, Howard. Keep an eye on the border and bear in mind the old alliance.
We will. We do. And as for Signor Chapuis, Thomas, it'll perhaps relieve your mind to know that one of Secretary Cromwell's agents made the tour with him.
Oh, of course, if Master Cromwell has matters in hand.
He has.
Yes, I can imagine.
But thanks for the information. It's good to know you still have some vestige of patriotism.
That's a remarkably stupid observation, Norfolk.
But he makes no noise, Mr. Secretary. He's silent. Why not leave him silent?
Not being a man of letters, Your Grace, you perhaps don't realize the extent of his reputation. This silence of his is bellowing up and down Europe. Now, may I recapitulate? He reported the Spanish ambassador's conversation to you, informed of the Spanish ambassador's tour of the North Country, warned against a possible rebellion there.
He did.
We may say, then, that he showed himself hostile to the hopes of Spain.
That's what I say.
Bear with me, Your Grace. Now, if he opposes Spain, he supports us. But surely that follows. Or perhaps you see some third alternative.
No, that's the line-up, all right. And may I say, Thomas More.
Thomas More will line up on the right side.
Yes, crank he may be, traitor he is not.
And with a little pressure, he can be got to say so. That's all we need. A brief declaration of loyalty to the present administration.
I still say let sleeping dogs lie.
Ah, but the king does not agree with you.
What kind of pressure do you think you can bring to bear?
I have evidence that Sir Thomas, during his period of judicature, accepted bribes.
What? God damn it, he was the only judge since Cato who didn't accept bribes. When was there last a chancellor whose possessions after 3 years in office totalled £100 and a gold chain?
It is, as you imply, common practice. But a practice may be common and remain an offence. This offence could send a man to the Tower.
I don't believe it.
The evidence which I have concerns a cup which Sir Thomas received from a woman who put a property case in the Court of Requests in April 1526. An Italian silver cup for which the woman had paid 100 shillings.
Did Sir Thomas accept this cup?
He did accept it. We can corroborate that. By an odd coincidence, the cup later came into the hands of Master Richard Rich.
Oh, yes, I know about that cup. As soon as Sir Thomas knew it was a bribe, he got rid of it.
The facts will bear that interpretation, I suppose.
This is a horse that won't run, Master Secretary.
Just a trial canter, Your Grace. We'll find something better.
Look here, Cromwell. I want no part of this.
You have no choice.
What's that you say?
The king particularly wishes you to be active in this matter.
He has not told me that.
Indeed, he told me.
But why?
We feel that since you are known to have been a friend of More's, your participation will show that there is nothing in the nature of a persecution, but only the strict processes of the law, as indeed you've just demonstrated. I'll tell the king of your loyalty to your friend. I'll tell him that you want no part of it, too.
Are you threatening me, Cromwell?
My dear Norfolk, this isn't Spain. I'm sorry to invite you here at such short notice, Sir Thomas. Good of you to come. I think you know Master Rich.
Indeed, yes. We're old friends. That's a nice gown you have, Richard.
Master Rich will make a record of our conversation.
Good of you to tell me, Master Secretary.
Believe me, Sir Thomas. No, that's asking too much.
But let me tell you all the same, you have no more sincere admirer than myself. Not yet. Don't start writing yet, Rich.
If I might hear the charges?
Charges?
I understand there are certain charges.
Some ambiguities of behavior I would like to clarify. Hardly charges.
Make a note of that, will you, Master Rich? There are no charges.
Sir Thomas, Sir Thomas. You know, it amazes me that you, who were once so effective in the world and are now so much retired from it, should be opposing yourself to the whole movement of the times.
It amazes me too.
The king is not pleased with you.
I am grieved.
Yet, do you know that even now, if you could bring yourself to agree with the universities, the bishops and the parliament of this realm, there is no honour which the king would be likely to deny you?
I am well acquainted with His Grace's generosity.
Very well. You have heard of the so-called Holy Maid of Kent, who was executed for prophesying against the king.
Yes, I knew the poor woman.
You sympathise with her?
She was ignorant, misguided. She was a bit mad, I think. And she has paid for her folly. Naturally, I sympathize with her.
You admit meeting her. You met her, and yet you did not warn His Majesty of her treason. How was that?
She spoke no treason. Our conversation was not political.
My dear Moore, the woman was notorious. Do you expect me to believe you?
Happily, there were witnesses.
You wrote a letter to her?
Yes, I wrote advising her to abstain from meddling in the affairs of princes and the state. I have a copy of this letter, also witnessed.
You have been cautious.
I have to keep my affairs regular.
Sir Thomas, there is a more serious charge,
Charge?
for want of a better word. In the May of 1526, the king published a book, a theological work. It was called A Defence of the Seven Sacraments.
For which he was named Defender of the Faith by His Holiness the Pope.
By the Bishop of Rome. Or do you insist on Pope?
No, Bishop of Rome, if you like. It doesn't alter his authority.
Thank you. You come to the point very readily. What is that authority? As regards the church in other parts of Europe, for example, the church in England. What exactly is the Bishop of Rome's authority?
You will find it very ably set out and defended in the King's book.
The book published under the king's name would be more accurate. You wrote that book.
I wrote no part of it.
I do not mean you actually held the pen.
I merely answered to the best of my ability certain questions on canon law which His Majesty put to me, as I was bound to do.
Do you deny that you instigated it?
It was from first to last the King's own project. And this is trivial, Master Cromwell.
I would not think so if I were in your place.
Only two people know the truth of the matter, myself and the King. And whatever he may have said to you, he will not give evidence to support the accusation.
Why not?
Because evidence is given on oath, and he will not perjure himself. If you don't know that, you don't yet know him.
Sir Thomas More, Is there anything you wish to say to me concerning the King's marriage with Queen Anne?
I understood I was not to be asked that again.
Evidently you understood wrongly. These charges...
They are terrors for children, Mr. Secretary, not for me.
Then know that the King commands me to charge you in his name with great ingratitude, and to tell you that there never was and never could be so villainous a servant nor so traitorous a subject as yourself.
So I am brought here at last.
Brought? You brought yourself the way you stand now.
Yes, still, in another sense, I was brought.
Oh, yes. You may go home now, for the present.
Sir Thomas More, you are called before us here at the Hall of Westminster to answer the charge of high treason. Nevertheless, though you have offended the King's Majesty, we hope that if you repent of your obstinate opinions, you may still taste his gracious pardon.
My lords, I thank you. And I pray to Almighty God that he will keep me in my honest mind to the last hour that I shall live. As for the matters you may charge me with, I fear from my present weakness that neither my wit nor memory will serve to make sufficient answers.
Master Secretary Cromwell, will you read the charge?
It is the same charge, Sir Thomas, that was brought against Bishop Fisher. The late Bishop Fisher, I should have said.
Late?
Bishop Fisher was executed this morning.
Oh,
Master Secretary, read the charge.
That you did conspire traitorously and maliciously to deny our liege lord, King Henry, of this undoubted certain title, Supreme Head of the Church in England.
but I have never denied this title.
You refused the oath tendered to you at the Tower and elsewhere.
Silence is not denial. Why have I been called here?
On a charge of high treason, Sir Thomas.
For which you know what the punishment is.
Death comes to all of us, my lords. Yes, even for kings he comes, to whom amidst all their royalty and brute strength will neither kneel nor make them any reverence, nor pleasantly desire them to come forth. But he will grasp them by the very breast and rattle them until they be stark dead, so causing their bodies to be buried in a pit and sending their souls to a judgment whereof at their death their success is uncertain.
Treason enough here.
The death of kings is not in question, Sir Thomas.
Nor mine, I trust, until I am proven guilty.
Your life lies in your own hand, Thomas, as it always has.
For our own deaths, my lord, yours and mine, dare we desire to enter the kingdom of heaven with ease, when our Lord himself entered with so much pain?
Now, Sir Thomas, you stand upon your silence.
I do.
But, gentlemen of the jury, there are many kinds of silence. Consider first the silence of a man when he is dead. What does it betoken, this silence? Nothing. This is silence, pure and simple. But consider another case. Suppose I were to draw a dagger from my sleeve and make to kill the prisoner with it, and suppose their lordships there, instead of crying out for me to stop, or citing out for help to stop me, maintained their silence. That would betoken. It would betoken a willingness that I should do it, and under the law they would be guilty with me. Consider now the prisoner's silence. The oath was put to good and faithful servants up and down the country, and they have declared his grace's title to be just and good. And when it came to the prisoner, he refused. He calls this silence. Yet is there a man in this court, a man in this country, who does not know Sir Thomas More's opinion of this title? Of course not. But how can that be? Because this silence has betokened, nay, this silence was not silence at all, but most eloquent denial.
Not so, Master Secretary. The maxim is qui tacit consentire. Gentlemen of the jury, the maxim of the law is silence gives consent. If, therefore, you wish to construe what my silence betokened, you must construe that I consented, not that I denied.
Is that what the world in fact construes from it? Do you pretend that that is what you wish the world to construe from it?
The world must construe according to its wits. This court must construe according to the law.
I put it to the court that the prisoner is perverting the law, making smoking what should be a clear light to discover to the court his own wrongdoing.
The law is not a light for you or any man to see by. The law is not an instrument of any kind. The law is a causeway upon which, so long as he keeps it, a man may walk freely in matters of conscience.
Conscience, the conscience.
The word is not familiar to you?
By God, too familiar. I'm very used to hear it in the mouths of criminals.
I am used to hear bad men misuse the name of God. Yet God exists. In matters of conscience, the loyal subject is more bounden to be loyal to his conscience than to any other thing.
So we provide a noble motive for his frivolous self-conceit.
It is not so, Master Cromwell. Very and pure necessity for respect of my own soul.
Your own self, you mean?
Yes, a man's soul is his self.
A miserable thing, whatever you call it, that lives like a bat in a Sunday school, a shrill, incessant pedagogue about its own salvation. But nothing to say about your place in the state, under the king, in a great native country.
Can I help my king by giving him lies when he asks for truth? Will you help England by populating her with liars?
My lord, I wish to call Sir Richard Rich.
Take the Bible in your right hand and say the words.
I do solemnly swear that the evidence I should give before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Now, Rich, on the 12th of March, were you at the Tower?
I was.
With what purpose?
I was sent to carry away the prisoner's books.
Did you talk with the prisoner?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said to him, suppose there was to be an act of parliament to say that I, Richard Rich, were to be king, would not you, Master More, take me for king? That I would, he said, for then you would be king.
Yes.
Then he said,
The prisoner?
Yes, my lord. But I will put to you a higher case, he said. How if there were an act of parliament to say that God should not be God?
This is true. And then you said,
Silence! Continue.
I said, but I will put to you a middle case. Parliament has made our king head of the church. Why will you not accept him?
Well,
Then he said Parliament had no power to do it.
repeat the prisoner's words.
He said Parliament has not the competence, or words to that effect.
He denied the title?
He did.
in good faith, Rich, I am sorrier for your perjury than for my peril.
Do you deny this?
Yes, and my lords, if I were a man who heeded not the taking of an oath, you know well I need not be here. Now I will take an oath. If what Master Rich has said is true, then I pray I may never see God in the face, which I would not say were it otherwise for anything on earth.
Gentlemen of the jury, this is not evidence.
Is it probable that after so long a silence on this, the very point so urgently sought of me, that I should open my mind to such a man as that?
Sir Richard, do you wish to modify your testimony?
No, Secretary.
There were two other men, Southwell and Palmer.
Unhappily, Sir Richard Southwell and Master Palmer are both in Ireland on the King's business. But it has no bearing. I have their deposition here, in which they state that being busy with the prisoner's books, they did not hear what was said.
If I had really said this, isn't it obvious that Cromwell would have called these men to witness?
Sir Richard, have you anything to add?
Nothing, Master Secretary.
Sir Thomas?
To what purpose? I am a dead man. Cromwell, you have your desire of me. What you have hunted me for is not my actions, but the thoughts of my heart. It is a long road you have opened. First men will disclaim their hearts, and then they will have no hearts. God help the people whose statesmen walk your road.
Then Sir Richard may withdraw.
I have one question to ask Sir Richard. That's a chain of office you are wearing, the Red Dragon. What is this?
Sir Richard is appointed Attorney General for Wales.
For Wales? Why, Richard, it profits a man nothing to give his soul for the whole world. But for Wales?
Now I must ask the court's indulgence. I have a message for the prisoner from the king. Sir Thomas, I am empowered to tell you that even now...
No, it cannot be.
The case rests, my lord.
The jury will retire and consider the evidence.
Considering the evidence, it shouldn't be necessary for them to retire.
Then, is the prisoner guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, my lord.
Prisoner at the bar, you have been found guilty of high treason. The sentence of the court...
My lord, when I was practicing the law, the manner was to ask the prisoner before pronouncing sentence if he had anything to say.
Have you anything to say?
Yes. To avoid this, I have taken every path my winding wits would find. And now that the court has determined to condemn me, God knows how I will discharge my mind concerning my indictment and the king's title. The indictment is grounded in an act of parliament which is directly repugnant to the law of God. The king in parliament cannot bestow the supremacy of the church because it is a spiritual supremacy. And the immunity of the church is promised both in Magna Carta and the king's own coronation oath.
Now we plainly see that you are malicious.
Not so, Master Secretary. I am the king's true subject, and pray for him and all the realm. I do no harm, I say no harm, I think none harm. And if this be not enough to keep a man alive, in good faith, I long not to live. I have, since I came into prison, been several times in such a case that I thought to die within the hour. And I thank our Lord, I was never sorry for it, but rather sorry when it passed. And therefore, my poor body is at the king's pleasure. Would God my death might do him some good. Nevertheless, it is not for the supremacy that you have sought my blood, but because I would not bend to the marriage.
Prisoner at the bar, you have been found guilty on the charge of high treason. The sentence of this court is that you shall be taken to the Tower, thence to the place of execution, and there your head shall be stricken from your body, and may the Lord have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, off with his head, yeah.
Off with his head.